SCI and pressure sores. This is another serious and common secondary health complication. People with SCI have an 80 to 95% risk of developing a pressure sore over a lifetime. Our risk increases with time since injury. They account for a high number of rehospitalizations, and pressure sores put tremendous stress on the body and can contribute to other health issues and complications like fatigue, infections, osteomyelitis, which can be life-threatening, autonomic dysreflexia, spasticity, and if they involve prolonged bed rest, can lead to things like overall weakness, atrophy of muscles, interfere with education, employment, social life, and decreased quality of life, and in some cases contribute to depression. Tissue damage and cellular death can take as little as 2 to 6 hours to occur, and by the time a pressure sore is visible on the surface of the skin, it's highly likely that damage to underlying tissue, fat, and muscle has already taken place. There are a number of factors that contribute to pressure sore development and why people with SCI are at such high risk of developing them after injury. Things like altered circulation. After injury, there is reduced circulation below the level of injury, and it compromises the supply of oxygen and essential nutrients to tissue. There's also altered collagen production. Collagen production appears to be altered below the level of injury. This may lead to decreased skin strength, which in turn results in increased risk of skin injury and impaired healing. Atrophy. Wasted muscle tissue, particularly over bony prominences, increases susceptibility to the development of pressure sores. Body weight. Over 65% of people with SCI are overweight, and this increase in weight and pressure can contribute to pressure sore development. However, being underweight can also contribute to skin breakdown, as there is little padding to protect tissue. Changes in body posture and seating. Conditions such as joint contractures or pelvic obliquity can increase pressure over bony parts. Excessive moisture, sweat, urine, and/or feces can contribute to skin breakdown. Heat. There is a significant rise in skin temperature within 2 to 5 minutes of sitting in a wheelchair around the tail and sit bones. Increases in temperature can make the skin more prone to damage. Loss of sensation and movement. The loss of sensation and decreased ability to move and reposition your body. Spasms. Increased friction from muscle spasms can cause pressure sores on body parts such as the ankles. Thinning skin. This is a natural aging process. When skin gets older, it loses elasticity, strength, and has a decreased supply of blood and oxygen, which increases risk of pressure sores. And poor diets and malnutrition. People with SCI are deficient in vitamins A, C, and E, as well as the mineral zinc, all of which are necessary for strong skin and immune function. So going through all of these contributing factors, it's clear to see that when addressing a pressure sore, how important it is to treat the whole person and not just focus on the wound. And that's why nutrition is such an essential factor in the healing process. Nutrients provide the raw materials needed for strong, healthy tissue integrity and healing. Early nutritional intervention has shown to enhance the immune system, lower the risk of associated complications, and decrease length of hospital stays. Here are nutritional recommendations to help maintain skin integrity and help improve wound healing time. 1. Increase calories. During times of injury, illness, or stress, the body may become hypermetabolic, meaning there may be an increase in the metabolic rate. Individuals with pressure sores often show signs of malnutrition because pressure sores compete with the body for energy stores and amino acids. They require nutritional support to provide their bodies with the raw materials it needs to build collagen and support the immune system, as well as help reduce the risk of infections that often accompany pressure sores. If calorie needs aren't met, it can lead to the loss of precious tissue, as well as weight loss and a weakened immune system. So to meet the body's increased energy needs required to help heal a pressure sore and support the immune system, you want to increase calories. Increasing calories, 30 to 35 calories per kilogram of body weight, helps improve wound healing time. And of course, you want to increase calories with healthy, nutrient-dense sources. Things like nuts, nut butters, dried fruit, fruit juices, and avocados, as well as whole grain carbohydrates and coconut milk. Coconut milk is a wonderful one. 1 can of coconut milk can contain anywhere from 500 to 700 calories, and you can add this to stews, to curries, and to soups. 2. Increase protein. Protein is essential for the production of collagen and immune function. You want to increase your protein from 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight to 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Sources of protein are things like fish, lean beef and poultry, quinoa, beans, lentils, and nuts and seeds. It's often difficult for individuals to eat the recommended amount of protein a day, so it's often easier for people to drink protein in the form of protein smoothies. 1 protein smoothie can contain anywhere from 25 to 50 grams of protein. There are also 3 amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein that have an affinity for healing, so you want to make sure you include these in your diet. Lysine can be found in things like chicken, turkey, and tuna, and it's necessary for collagen formation and tissue repair. Proline is essential for collagen formation, and it can be found in things like cottage cheese and beef. And glutamine can be found in things like cabbage, beef, chicken, fish, and beans, helps improve and speed up the healing process. However, during times of stress or injury, the body's demand for glutamine can exceed the body's capacity to release it. So it's important that you get it in your diet. Increased protein consumption also acidifies the body, and when the body is more acidic, it actually depletes minerals, things like calcium, in the body. So while you're increasing your protein intake, you want to make sure you're pairing it with an increase of alkalinizing foods, things such as vegetables. 3. Ensure you're eating vitamins A, C, D, E, and the mineral zinc. When the body is under stress, there is an increase in the fight or flight reaction and release of stress hormones such as cortisol. Chronic cortisol release can contribute to systemic inflammation and, in turn, the depletion of some of the nutrients I'm about to talk about. Vitamin A stimulates the growth of the base layer of skin. Vitamin A is also an antioxidant to help prevent tissue damage that can impair healing. It also enhances activity of white blood cells to help protect against infection. Vitamin A can be found in yellow and orange fruits and vegetables, things like sweet potato, winter squash, and carrots. Vitamin C helps convert the amino acids proline and lysine into collagen. Vitamin C also helps strengthen blood vessels to support circulation and the delivery of essential nutrients to the wound site. Vitamin C also helps support the immune system by helping to activate white blood cells. It's also an antioxidant to help prevent tissue damage that can impair healing. Prolonged physical stress, such as a pressure sore, can deplete this vitamin from the system. So it's very important that you get lots of good sources of vitamin C through things like green leafy vegetables and broccoli, red and green peppers, and of course, citrus fruits. Vitamin D helps activate T cells in the immune system to help fight infection. You can get vitamin D in foods like eggs, sardines, and salmon. Vitamin E is a very powerful antioxidant that helps protect tissues from damage. You can find vitamin E in things like olives, olive oil, and sunflower seeds. And the mineral zinc. Zinc is a necessary cofactor for collagen and protein synthesis. Zinc also plays a role in the immune system to help fight infection. You can find zinc in foods like pumpkin seeds and red meat. 4. Drink at least 1 liter of fluids a day. Approximately 81% of your blood is water, and your bloodstream carries important repair substances to the site of injury. Drinking more than 1 liter of fluid a day helps to accelerate the making of new skin. Adequate water intake is also important in helping fight infection, as it's necessary to help eliminate waste and toxins. In addition to drinking water, I also recommend drinking coconut water. Chronic pressure sores can deplete electrolytes. Electrolytes are things like potassium and sodium. Coconut water is a natural source of these electrolytes, and it's much healthier than sport drinks, which are also filled with artificial flavors, colors, and sugar, which can actually feed a bacteria infection associated with your pressure sore wound. 5. Increase your intake of healthy fats. Healthy fats are required for proper cell reproduction. They help reduce inflammation. They help maintain skin integrity and elasticity, as well as help prevent moisture loss. And healthy fats also carry fat-soluble vitamins throughout your body, 2 of which I just mentioned, vitamins A and E. Sources are things like fish, salmon, sardines, halibut, walnuts, and ground flax seeds. 6. Increase probiotics. Probiotics are good bacteria, which help support the immune system. Most people with spinal cord injuries have taken courses of antibiotics to help fight things like bladder infections, respiratory infections, or pressure wounds. Antibiotics are necessary, but they wipe out the good bacteria with the bad. Therefore, it's very important to replenish your good bacteria with foods like yogurt, sauerkraut, and kombucha, which is a fermented drink. 7. Enhance circulation. Circulation is what helps carry repair substances to the site of injuries and eliminates wastes and toxins. Healthy sources to help boost your circulation are fresh ginger root. Put it in your foods, or you can drink it as a tea. 8. Eliminate processed foods and refined sugars. Sugars feed bacteria. Also, they increase inflammation and impair your immune function.